Advanced Studio Classroom is on the air. Welcome to Advanced Studio Classroom. We're glad to have you here today as we finish our lesson on how to succeed at work. This is Doris Brom, Peng Meng Hui. Welcome, everyone. We hope that we are going to be able to get more suggestions for you to do as we continue our lesson and finish it up today. Let's hear from our other panelists. Winnie, tell us something about this lesson that you've learned so far.
So far, I think it's making me realize how I need to think about work and really prioritize what I do and think about the bigger picture, because it's so easy for me to do the day-to-day and lose sight of what's really important.
That's very good, Winnie. And what about Ryan? Ryan, have you thought about anything else since we've started talking about this subject?
Right. I've kind of thought about how I need to prioritize and not use my time wisely and not use a lot of, time killers or stuff like that.
Right. Watch for those time eaters that eat up your time, I'm telling you. And we do really learn a lot as we study together. So this year, in advanced class, let's all decide that we're going to spend time on things that are worthwhile or that we enjoy, and we're going to find out today how we can share our work, and we can really share it and delegate, but we don't have to lower our standards. Wow, that's going to be a good subject to talk about, isn't it, today?
Yes, it is.
So open your magazines to page 18, where you can share work and add skills without lowering standards. Sometimes I think when I have other people do things, they might not do it as well as I do. It lowers the standards. Do you think everybody thinks that sometimes?
A lot of people do think that, and they think that I'm right, everybody else is wrong, but that's a really bad way to think.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you'll be very busy if you think that way, because if you're going to do everything yourself, you won't have time to enjoy life.
That's for sure. If you keep thinking that your way is the best way or the only way, you are going to be very, very tired.
So I like to think mine is one of the ways, and I like to share my work. That's why I'm sharing it with you today. Isn't it fun to be on the radio and share it with people all over the world?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And then you should share with other people what you've learned, too. But we can find out more about this on page 18. So let's have the question of the day.
You can share work and add skills without lowering standards.
Question. I find it hard to delegate tasks to others. A coworker told me I have control issues. My boss says I need to stop being a perfectionist. But I feel that I need to do it all myself to be sure it's done correctly. Help!
Well, help is certainly a good word to say right there, because if you find it hard to delegate things, and what does delegate mean?
Delegate basically means to give my task to someone else.
Okay, and some people find it very hard to delegate. If you find it hard to do that, then you'll have what we call here control issues. What are control issues?
Control issues is when you feel like you need to be in charge of everything.
Or else it won't be done right.
Or else it won't be done right.
A lot of people might say you're a control freak.
That's right. You have to control everything. You can't control the weather, though. Don't try, right? We like to control it, but we can't.
Can't even predict it accurately all the time.
Right. And if your boss says, stop being a perfectionist, then you get kind of hurt sometimes. Well, don't you want me to do a good job? You want me to just be what we say in Chinese, sui sui bian bian? No. I want to do a good job. But a perfectionist is someone we're going to talk about more. And they feel that they are the only ones who know how to do it. So then they have a hard time. They'll never have time to have fun, will they?
No.
They wonder why they have to work all the time, 24/7.
I'm not a perfectionist, and I still have to work a lot. But, but I'm going to delegate some of it to you now, right? So let's go on to the answer to this question. How can we delegate and be sure that the job is done well? That is a good question for today, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Well, let's read on page 18. Let's finish the left-hand column.
Answer. Perfectionism and control create a powerful, performance-limiting trap. Changing your approach to sharing work will open up more robust possibilities. Your first step is to explore the dynamics that lead you to maintain tight control. If errors have been costly in the past, then letting go of control may seem risky. But you can make strategic decisions on which work to delegate and how closely to maintain oversight.
Well, line 6 says, is a good sentence, perfectionism and control create a powerful performance-limiting trap. What a sentence, Winnie. I'm going to let you tackle that one.
It is a big one. Well,
I'm delegating it to you.
Why, thank you. Perfectionism and control is what we talked about, is when you feel like you need to have everything in your power. And performance-limiting trap. A trap is something that catches you, and it limits you or stops you from doing what you otherwise could be doing.
Okay. Does that make sense to you now, Brian?
Yeah, that makes more sense now.
Okay. So changing your approach, the way you do it, the way you share your work. If I change the way, instead of saying, I'm going to do it all myself, if I say, let's all do this together, then it's going to open up more robust possibilities. What are robust possibilities? That sounds like a coach saying something like that. What does that mean?
Robust usually means strong or very healthy and powerful.
Okay, so if we do something together, it's probably going to be richer and better than if I do it, because I don't know everything. I'd like to tell you that. I don't know everything. So if you know something and you know something, then it will be better if we do it together.
You kind of hear the phrase, there's power in numbers.
That's right.
That's right.
And so that's what we call teamwork and team goals. Some people have to do everything by themselves. They are usually perfectionists, aren't they?
Like that phrase, there is no I in teamwork.
That's right. It's everybody together, isn't that right? Now, perfectionism does not just mean doing a good job. It means saying that it has to be absolutely perfect. And I don't think that we can be perfect. I think only God is perfect. People are not perfect, right?
That's true.
Exactly.
Certainly
We're
true.
human.
We are humans. They're not. Even machines aren't perfect. And you get a nice new cell phone or computer, and it has problems, and it's brand new. I mean, nothing is perfect, right?
You might think, wow, it's really cool. And then a few months later, oh, it's slow. It's overheating. Yeah.
Or you get a new car, and it looks so pretty, but sometimes some things don't work. So nothing is perfect. It's good, it's excellent, but not perfect, okay? So what's the first step then we have to do is, how can we really get out of that habit of being a perfectionist? What's the first thing we have to do here?
The first thing you have to do is explore the dynamics that basically led you to maintain this tight control.
Okay, so why am I have to be in control? Why do I think I'm the only one? What made me do that? Probably because somebody made a mistake, and then somebody said, well, how come your team made a mistake? And then I said, okay, after this I'll do it myself. Maybe that's how it happened, do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe
But that's not
sometimes
good.
if you delegate a task once and then they make a little mistake, then you think, oh, okay, I can't trust them anymore. I'm going to do it myself now.
Oh, boy,
Instead
that's
of giving them another chance, explaining what they did wrong and
Hey,
helping
that's
them
good.
improve.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this Ryan's becoming quite a good teacher here, isn't he?
Very good.
Good, Ryan. That's very good. So change the way you do it. Share your work, and you're going to have a better job. So find out how you can work together. And it says here you can make strategic or very important decisions on which work to delegate. In other words, If some people are better at one thing, I'll give it to them. Maybe I give you a job and you're not that good at it. Maybe I'll give it to Winnie and she's good at it. Well, next time I say, okay, you do something else. So we don't feel bad about it. We just give it to the one that can do it better. Keep track of how things are going and assign the jobs to the people who could do them. That sounds pretty logical, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It's pretty linear, huh?
Very linear.
Good. Well, I think that's a good start, but there's more to talk about here. So let's take the second column and do a couple of paragraphs there.
Also, consider the benefits of successful delegation. You may have seen positive outcomes and high morale. Remind yourself of these examples when you're trying to ease up on control. And be open to learning from someone else's way of performing a task. You may be more in your comfort zone with detail work and less comfortable with strategic thinking. Consider which aspects of your job are a stretch and be clear about your strengths and development needs. Your goal is to become comfortable with knowing what you don't know and then to use this knowledge to grow.
Well, there are benefits of successful delegation, and it says consider them. Now, what are some of the benefits of successfully giving jobs to others? Can you think of any?
Yes, sometimes there are some jobs that maybe I don't do very well. If I try to do it, it'll take me longer than someone else.
So it saves time then.
Exactly,
right?
It saves time.
One thing, it saves time, right?
It saves time, and maybe I don't do it that well, so someone else might do it better, a more quality job.
That's one thing. Then it could save time. Any other benefits?
Well, it says here that you can have high morale, which means that people you work with will feel better about themselves and feel better about working overall.
Right, that's true. Like, what if we say, well, I'm the only one that can do it, then everybody else feels they're not very important because, you're the only one that can do it. And then the morale is bad. Now, morale is a very common word, but it's a good word. What does the word morale actually mean?
Yeah, it's kind of the group atmosphere. If it's a good morale, then people are happy.
Yeah.
If it's bad, then people don't want to come to work, aren't enthusiastic.
Right. Just when Chinese, I think we say qi fen bu hao, the whole atmosphere is different.
Yes.
And if we say, look what we did together, we're all happy, then there's good morale in the office, isn't there?
And
but if I say every time you do it, Winnie, it's no good, then the morale is very bad, right?
Yes.
Very.
So I think one of the benefits is good morale with your classmates. It saves time, the people you work with. And I can see another benefit is you have more free time to do some other things you might want to do. Because if you do everything yourself, you will have no free time. That's sad. We need to live a little bit, not just work every minute, right?
Yes.
Have
No
time
time
with
to
your
have
family. Have fun, yeah.
No time to have fun in Taiwan and explore.
Yeah, and go out and eat Chinese food at the night market, huh?
Yeah.
So we really do need to share with other people, and then we can have good teamwork, and I think it gets more done, and people are happier. We probably will keep us from getting sick because stress makes us sick. Wow, it's probably good for our health. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's a benefit. I'm going to delegate more next time. Okay. But be open to learning here in line 5 from someone else's way of performing a task. Are most people really open to other people's way of doing things or not?
Some people are, some people aren't. Some people are perfectionist and think, I do it right, my way is the only way. But if you're open, then you can see the positives in other people's points of view and see how that can actually benefit the situation.
Well, what if you're not the kind of person that's open? Do you think we could actually stretch ourselves a little bit and become more open? I mean, you cannot say, I'm not that kind of person, and that's it. Do we have to settle for that?
I think sometimes it's just easier when you're so used to thinking or doing things a certain way that you keep doing that. But I think what I found is when you are open to learning, you become a more happier person and you trust other people more.
But what if you're not that kind, Winnie? I mean, you're sort of in a bad habit. Let's say you've been doing it this way, and then you read this, you say, I better change. Can we change or not? Do you think we can?
I think it takes a lot of hard work sometimes, but by baby steps, meaning step by step, little by little, I think all people are capable of change.
So don't be afraid to look at yourself and say, well, I have a few things about me that aren't perfect, but I am going to change it. It's up to you. It's up to me, right? We have to determine that. And so I would say, I'm very positive about it. We can change. I know I've changed a lot of things that I used to do as I got older. I feel, okay, well, I've got to change. And we hope that we can change. Don't stop changing, no matter how old you are. We have to keep trying. And I think we have to be open to learning from other people. I'm still open to learn from other people, and we need to keep that way, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
So don't say, I already know how to do it, I don't want to know. And that way you're finished. You'll never be successful. You won't get along with people. You'll be hard to work with, right?
Yes.
Well, we do, though, feel when we do things our way, we have what we call a comfort zone. Who knows what a comfort zone is?
Comfort zone is an environment, a place that you are comfortable, you're used to. Maybe if you're from America like me, a comfort zone might be America, where you're from. And then maybe something like, for me, Taiwan would be something very different. So I have to make a lot of changes if I want to get out of my comfort zone.
Right. Well, you know, when you're comfortable, like, for instance, even in your house and everything, if you've got the furniture you like and everything, but if you go out someplace where you have to sit on the floor, maybe you go to Japan and they're eating in a restaurant and you have to sit on the floor, it's not your comfort zone. So we're more comfortable to the way we've been brought up. But we need to get out of that sometimes and not just say, I'm more comfortable this way and that's the only way I'm going to do it. That's part of our change, isn't it?
It's part of growing up, I think.
Should be, right. So you consider things about your job that you're not used to doing. And you say, well, I'm not used to speaking in front of people, but I'll learn. And that stretches you. So some aspects of your job are a stretch for you. What happens when you stretch? You can do more. You have more capacity, don't you?
When you stretch, you learn more, you can do more, you learn more about different ways to do things. Maybe your way isn't the best way in every situation, even though you may think it is.
Well, you know, I find people who go on trips sometimes from America, they go overseas and they have to live in a way they didn't live, maybe someplace, and they say, oh, that was really a stretch, that summer tour, you know. I really stretched. Or you have to live with people of a different culture. It stretches you a lot. So we all need to keep stretching ourselves or we're going to just get stiff and never be able to move. So remember, we need to keep flexible so we can stretch, don't we?
Yes.
What about jobs? Do certain jobs stretch you more than others? I hope that Studio Classroom will stretch you more, Winnie.
I definitely
You've been a
hope
teacher,
so, too.
but that will stretch your teaching, won't it?
Definitely. When I come here, I need to think about teaching to students where English is their second language rather than their first. And
That's
this is something
true.
very different to what I'm used to.
Oh, and when you were teaching in New York, you were teaching more in a classroom. So being on the radio, does that stretch your teaching?
It certainly stretches my teaching because I need to plan differently. I need to think more carefully about how to speak and how to say a certain word. And so that really challenges how I view teaching.
So we're all being stretched today, aren't we?
Stretched.
Yeah, that's good, you know, because when we stretch, it means we're still flexible. We're not just hard and can't be moved. So be clear about what you can do, and then you'll become more comfortable later on as you say, no, I don't feel so bad about being on the radio or being on TV or doing something else. Keep stretching yourself so that you will be pliable, you will be more useful, not only to your company, but to your family, to the world, and will be more useful to everybody. So then I would say that's a very successful person if they keep on stretching themselves.
I agree.
I would definitely agree with that. The more you stretch, the more you learn, the better you can be used in the future in different capacities, different ways.
That's true. Well, we do have to finish the article. It's a very stretching article to think about, but let's finish it today by starting in line 15 and seeing how we can start to do this.
Start safe. Choose someone you trust to do a good job and do a final review of the work. Widen the net of people you're comfortable with by delegating lower-risk tasks, gradually including more visible or complex tasks. To ensure that work quality is maintained, provide specific, actionable feedback while staying open to new or different solutions for accomplishing the task. And remember to express your appreciation. Perfectionism can hold you and your organization back. However, you can maintain your high standards while increasing your contribution by building your skills and investing in others.
Well, it tells us where to start, and we have to start safe or we won't feel good about it, right?
Right.
So how do we do that?
How do you start safe? You have to choose someone that you trust to do the job and then start with maybe more lower risk tasks. Let them develop confidence and develop a sense of how to do the job.
That word trust is a very small word, but it's very important. If we don't have trust in other people, we can't work well with them. So if you don't trust the people you work with or their ability, then nobody's going to be successful, right?
Right. I think trust is very important. By you trusting other people, it allows them to trust you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you trust someone, it also gives them confidence.
Well, and you start kind of slow, a little bit safe by trusting. Just like a child, they trust their parents, and they don't trust strangers, even animals. I mean, in the home, some stranger comes in, they bark at them or something, Mm-hmm. But you trust those around you. But then the child has to go to school and has to trust the teacher and trust other people. So that's the way in your job. You trust someone first, but then you widen the net of people. Now, all of a sudden, you're more comfortable with your radio audience as well as your classroom. And you widen what you can do, and you're comfortable. And then you can delegate lower risk jobs first. It's not so important. And give somebody, well, like for instance, when you said, you had to copy things. So if I were you, I'd say, I've got to find somebody to do that copying for me. Now, they might not do it exactly right because I wanted the page turned this way and that way, but I'm going to tell them and I'm going to trust them to do the copying. So then I can do more. So you start with the lower risk job. Then you might have them come into your classroom and teach your class. And pretty soon you might give them the whole class someday. Mm. So maybe next time you'll be leading the program, see? But we just gradually do it, and that's important.
Right. The reason you start with lower risk jobs is because you can explain someone what they're doing wrong, and then you can build from there rather than giving them a huge task, and then when they don't do it well, then something really bad happens. You can explain, and it's a step, a process.
Right. They lose confidence, and you lose confidence, and so forth. So don't expect them to do a perfect job. If they do a good job, you say, that's an excellent job. Don't say, oh, that's perfect, because it might not be. Don't expect perfection. Perfectionism is really, in a sense, a bad word. Perfectionism. It can keep your whole organization back because you're going to wait until you do a perfect job. I know when I taught the trumpet for a while and taught musical instruments, people wouldn't play the note very well. And I have seen teachers teaching instruments that you have one piece to play. And you have to play that perfectly and before you can go on to number 2 or number 3. And they get discouraged, they give up. But I'd say, well, that's not bad. Now let's take this one, and do a lot of different things. And then they go back and they can play number 1. But otherwise, they'll never get off of number 1 if I wait till it's perfect because they're not going to do that. So you cannot teach anything by perfectionism. So I'm not going to speak English until I say every sentence perfect, then you'll never speak, right?
Right.
Yes.
Isn't that true?
I think it's very important to allow other people to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said before, excellence is something very different from perfectionism, because you're still having those high standards, but you allow people to experiment, try new things so that they do know how to take risks.
That's true. And perfectionists are really hard to work for. They're hard to have in the office. They don't have many friends because nobody comes up to their expectations. So if you want to enjoy life, just forget being a perfectionist. You might as well just remember that today, right?
I agree,
Yes.
yes.
So to sum it up, how do we really succeed at work? The first thing we have to do is look at the big picture, isn't it?
Yes, look at the big picture. Look at everything and how you fit into that big picture as well.
And then remember that some things that you have to do yourself, find out how you need to work with your boss. That's another thing you have to do. What else do we have to do?
You also have to delegate. Start with lower tasks first and then build from there. You have to give feedback. Give feedback that people can use, not that it's just, oh, good job. And why is it a good job?
Get out of your comfort zone, stretch yourself, and widen the net of people you're comfortable with. Well, that gives us enough to think about for this January, for the new year coming up, and have a successful time in your job and in practicing English. Don't wait until you can speak it perfectly, right?
Yes.
And widen your circle of friends and get out of your comfort zone and do something fun. Well, thanks for being with us, and thanks for joining us, Ryan and Winnie. I'm going to give you a big hand because you're doing a good job. You might not be perfect, but you are doing an excellent job.
Thank you, Doris.
And thank all of you out there. Let's say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.